Let's just get you more news coming in, and this is in regard to a mega Rafale deal that India has finally sealed as far as this fighter deal is concerned. So we're talking about India buying 26 Rafale fighter jets, the marine variants, for the Navy in a government-to-government deal worth more than 63,000 crore rupees. And to know more on this, we have my colleague Shiv joining us. Shiv, the deal is likely to be signed later this month when the French Defense Minister will be here in India.
That is correct. This deal has been on the table in negotiations for a few years now. I remember that the Indian Navy has been wanting new generation fighters of this kind for a long time because the Indian Navy faces a peculiar problem. The Indian Ocean is India's backyard. The Indian Ocean region is India's domain. But China has, in the last decade or so, been very aggressively trying to create and expand its footprint in the Indo-Pacific and especially in the Indian Ocean region. Now, the Chinese Navy is not only vastly bigger than the Indian Navy, but it is also expanding at a much faster rate, which has proven to be a real challenge for India. And that's where aircraft like the Rafale come in. The Indian Navy, doesn't have the capacity to keep up with the size and scale and expansion of the Chinese Navy, but it is able to deter it using force and using force projection in the Indian Ocean. And that's where fighters like these new Rafales, 26 Rafales may not seem like a large number, but these are lethally armed with long-range weaponry, air-to-air, air-to-surface, anti-ship, anti-submarine, etc., making these aircraft give any enemy commander, serious second thoughts about trying to intrude into sensitive areas. And given that the Chinese, have stepped up in a very big way in what is being called the Great Game in the Indo-Pacific at this time, and given that the Indians have stepped up, the Indian Navy has stepped up in a bigger way as well, that's where these Rafale fighter jets will actually plug in. They're not just aircraft, they're not just weapon systems, it's a strategic pivot as far as India is concerned.
Right, Shiv, also the deal will ensure there's expedited delivery timelines in place and assured maintenance as far as the support from the French manufacturer is concerned.
The Indian Air Force already operates 36 Rafale fighters. So India is already a customer and an operator of the Rafale fighter. The last few years since the fighters were delivered, the Indian Air Force has had vast experience. And I can tell you that in the run-up to this deal that's going to be signed this month, the Indian Navy, of course, has been collaborating with the Air Force to get a taste of the Rafale because they already knew that these fighters were going to be incoming. There are huge benefits. I, of course, always issue a disclaimer saying it's never very good news when India needs to import another fighter. Ultimately, strategic autonomy comes from being able to build and operate your own aircraft. That might happen sometime in the future. But for now, these Rafale aircraft for the Air Force and the Navy will be a stopgap. There will be commonality in terms of maintenance, in terms of spares, in terms of overhaul, repair. The entire ownership experience of these will bring in many economies of scale between the Air Force and the Navy. But much more importantly will be the combat profiles, the tactics, how these aircraft will actually be used to meet India's, military and strategic objectives is going to be far more crucial. And I think both the Indian Navy and the Air Force are going to be looking forward to that.